Please hold my waist. My ex is here. Alara Vesper froze. The words were soft, almost like a whisper, but they made her heart jump. She was at the Skyline Lounge, the bar sparkling with golden lights. Across the room she saw him, Soren Alistair, the man who had once told her she was too ordinary. Now he was standing with a woman who shined like wealth itself. Her laughter was loud, his smile full of arrogance, the same way it had hurt Alara years ago. In one heartbeat, all the hard work she had done to heal from him felt like it disappeared. Alara's hands shook around her glass. Her chest hurt. Then she noticed a stranger next to her. He was tall, calm, and his eyes were hard to read. He didn't ask any questions. He didn't even blink. He simply put his arm around her waist. His touch was firm and sure, like he had done it 1,000 times. The noise of the bar seemed to disappear. Soren's smirk faded. Alara finally looked the stranger in the eye and didn't flinch. She didn't know it yet, but his name was Cassian Hale. And this one moment would change both their lives. What would you do if someone from your past appeared and a stranger stepped up to protect you? Alara blinked, but she could still see Soren. Memories of him pulled her back 3 years. One night, one sentence. You're amazing, Alara, but you're too ordinary for the life I want. She remembered standing in the rain outside his apartment, holding her shoes, her pride slipping away. He had turned away before she could even ask him to stay. That night, she promised herself she would never cry over him again. But now, in this fancy bar full of laughter and champagne, that same empty ache came back. Every success she had worked for, every long hour, every smile she had faked, she had done it all to prove him wrong, and yet seeing him there, all the old thoughts came rushing back. Not enough. Not enough. Alara took a deep breath. She had changed. She was stronger. So why did his eyes still make her feel small? The Skyline Lounge pulsed with music. People laughed loudly. Glasses clinked. A saxophone played soft music in the background. But inside Alara, there was only silence. She held her glass tightly. Cold sweat ran down her wrist. She smiled when her coworkers called her name, but it felt fake. Every shiny detail of the bar seemed to mock her. The golden lights, the mirrors, the women in dresses that looked like armor, they belonged here. She was only pretending. Alara tried to breathe and calm herself, but the past had already grabbed her throat. The city outside the glass windows glittered, beautiful and unreachable. Alara wondered if confidence was just another costume she had to learn to wear. Her eyes found him again. Soren Alistair, taller and sharper now, wearing confidence like a suit made for him. He laughed, leaning close to the woman at his side. His hand rested on her waist the same way it used to rest on hers. Something twisted inside Alara's chest. The woman's name was Serafina. Perfect hair, perfect diamonds, perfect posture. Alara almost laughed. She looked like the life Soren had always wanted, polished, expensive, and empty. Then Soren looked up. Their eyes met. For a moment, Alara froze. Soren's smile was the same half-smile she had once mistaken for love, and in that smile she could hear all the cruel words he had used to hurt her. Her heart raced. She turned away, her breath fast and shallow. She couldn't face him. Not tonight, not after all she had worked for. Alara's mind screamed for escape. Her gaze searched the crowd, anywhere but him. And then she saw him, the stranger next to her. Tall, quiet, scrolling on his phone like he was from another world. His calm felt like gravity. Without thinking, Alara moved closer. "Please hold my waist," she whispered. He froze. His eyes lifted to hers. Steady, blue, kind. Eyes that made her heart twist. He looked past her shoulder at Soren, then back at Alara. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. His hands slid around her waist, firm and protective. The world tilted. The touch was polite, but it burned away the fear she had carried all night. Alara felt her heartbeat calm for the first time. Across the room, Soren stopped. His smirk faded. Alara realized she wasn't invisible anymore. Cassian Hale's hand stayed on her waist, steady, quiet. He didn't say a word, but his calm silenced all the chaos around her. Alara felt the weight of the moment shift. The laughter, the music, the sparkling bar, all became a distant hum. He wasn't pretending, he wasn't performing. His touch wasn't possessive, it said, "I'm here. You're safe." She dared a glance at him. Strong jawline, sharp suit, a hint of mystery in his eyes, like a man who had forgotten how to feel but hadn't forgotten how to protect. Soren's smirk flickered across the room. Confusion showed on his perfect face. Cassian's hand didn't move. Alara breathed deeply for the first time in minutes. Who was he? And why did his silence feel louder than any promise she had ever been given? Soren didn't stay away. He walked through the crowd, that same confident swagger he always had. "Long time, Alara," he said, like their past was just a polite memory. Alara straightened. "Yes," she said, her voice steady, "and I'm doing just fine." The lie tasted strong, but she said it anyway. Soren's eyes flicked to Cassian's hand still on her waist. Something dark passed over his face. "This your new boyfriend?" he asked, trying to sound casual. Cassian didn't flinch. He just looked at Soren, calm as stone. "Does it matter?" Alara said before he could answer. Her tone was cool, practiced, but inside her heart was racing. For the first time, she wasn't small. She was the one being noticed. Soren smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. He turned to Cassian. "You look familiar. What do you do for work?" Cassian held his gaze, voice low. "Nothing that concerns you." Alara's breath caught. The tension felt sharp enough to cut the air. Soren's wife shifted, pretending to check her phone. Cassian added softly, "She looks beautiful tonight." It wasn't a boast. It was a fact. Soren's smile faltered. Pride cracked under Cassian's calm. Alara felt heat in her cheeks. Part embarrassment, part gratitude. Soren cleared his throat. "Well, good to see you, Alara. You seem fine." She smiled faintly. "I am." For the first time, she really meant it. Cassian's hand pressed gently against her back, guiding her away before Soren could say another word. Alara didn't notice she was shaking until they reached a quieter part of the lounge. The noise faded behind them. Cassian stayed silent, still a mystery wrapped in calm. Her cheeks burned from adrenaline. She wanted to apologize, to explain, but words wouldn't come. She exhaled. "That was insane," she finally said. Cassian's mouth curved slightly. "You handled it." Alara almost laughed. "Barely," she said. "Barely still counts." There was no judgment, just truth. Alara looked at him, amazed at how steady he seemed, as if chaos never touched him. For the first time in years, she felt seen and safe. That feeling scared her even more than seeing Soren. They stood on the rooftop, the city lights glittering below. Cassian broke the silence first. "Stay," he said gently. "You look like you need to breathe." Alara laughed softly. "You're not wrong." He leaned on the railing beside her. "Rough night?" "You could say that," she said. "Running into your ex is like being hit by a memory you never asked for." Cassian nodded, eyes soft. "And yet you didn't let him win." Alara studied him. "Why did you help me?" He shrugged. "You looked like someone worth helping." The answer was simple and made her smile for real this time. "Thank you," she said. "You're welcome," he replied. "I've been alone here for an hour. Guess we both needed a reason to stay." The night wind carried their quiet laughter into the city. That night didn't end with a goodbye. It turned into hours of talking about work, dreams, and everything Alara had kept hidden. Alara leaned on the glass railing, the cool night air on her skin. Cassian listened silently as she spoke about her job at the marketing firm, how she had worked so hard to succeed, and how each promotion felt like putting herself back together. She laughed softly. "They think I'm strong because I don't break. Some days I'm just holding myself together with tape and coffee." Cassian's gaze didn't leave her. "Sounds like you built yourself from the ground up." "Brick by brick," she said. He nodded once. "No one gets to take that from you," he said quietly. The words, calm and certain, touched her deeply. Alara met his eyes and felt something unfamiliar. Not love, not yet. Something calmer, something that whispered, "You're safe here." The tension softened. Cassian looked at her for a long moment and then said, "You know, you're not ordinary, Alara." She blinked. Soren had thought otherwise. Cassian shook his head. He couldn't see, but he said softly, "You're real." The words felt like warm sunlight after a big storm. Alara didn't know why, but her chest felt full of happiness. People had told her she was smart, strong, and brave, but no one had ever called her real before. She giggled quietly, a little shy. "You're saying that to a woman who just asked a stranger to pretend to date her," she said. Cassian smiled. "That's what makes it real. You didn't hide anything." Alara laughed. It was a light, happy sound, one she hadn't heard from herself in years. The sound surprised her. It felt like something inside her was breaking open and starting to heal. Cassian didn't laugh back. He just looked at her like he had found something very special. Days passed, and they fell into a rhythm. They drank coffee on Saturdays and walked by the pier. Their conversations lasted late into the night, but it never felt heavy or tiring. Alara hadn't planned this. It just happened. Cassian always came. He was steady, patient, and curious. He asked her about her favorite books, her childhood dreams, and even her scars, but he never demanded answers. She asked him about his life too, but he didn't share much. His eyes would drift away whenever things got too personal. She didn't push him. There was peace in not needing to know everything. One evening, Cassian made her laugh so hard that tears ran down her cheeks. He said quietly, "You are different when you laugh." "How?" she asked. "Like you finally believe you deserve happiness." She didn't answer. She only smiled, realizing he was right. In every quiet moment, every shared glance, Alara felt something small but new growing inside her. Hope was coming back. It happened one evening when they were walking near the lounge. The manager waved at Cassian. "Good night, Mr. Hale," the man said. Alara stopped. "Wait, Mr. Hale? You own this place?" Cassian didn't change his expression. She stared at him. "You're serious?" He nodded. "Skyline is part of the Hale Group. My family started it, and I kept it running." She blinked, stunned. That was Cassian Hale. He smiled faintly. "Don't let the title fool you. Money can buy quiet, but not peace," he said. The honesty in his voice made her feel calm and safe. He wasn't showing off. He was tired. Alara's curiosity mixed with confusion. He looked so normal, so human, yet his life was so different from hers. She said softly, "And you still came to the bar alone?" Cassian smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. That's the part money can't fix. The evening was cool as they walked. The city lights shone on the water. For a moment, neither spoke. Finally, Alara said, "You have everything people dream of." Cassian slowed his steps. "Except someone who sees me," he said quietly. The simplicity of that stopped her. "You mean people see the name, the money, the empire, but not the man?" she asked. Cassian nodded. "Maybe I hide him too well." "But when you helped me that night," she said, voice soft, "you didn't look at me like I was unimportant. You just looked scared and real." Alara's throat felt tight. "And you helped anyway," she whispered. He smiled, small and tired, "because for the first time in a long while, I felt needed." Alara looked away, blinking back a warm feeling. Two lonely souls, pretending they were fine, finally found each other in silence. They stood outside the lounge. The night wind brushed past them. Cassian's voice broke the quiet. "Dinner feels too formal," he said, hands in pockets. "How about coffee?" "No promises, just coffee," Alara said. He smiled slowly. "Yes, just coffee. No big gestures, just honesty." Something in his voice felt safe. After all she had been through, that was rare. She nodded. "Okay, just coffee." The next morning they met at a small cafe tucked between old bookstores. There were no city lights or fancy clothes, only sunlight, wooden tables, and the smell of coffee. Alara laughed more than she expected. Cassian asked questions, listened, and answered softly. He never tried to impress her. When she joked about being addicted to caffeine, he raised his eyebrow. "Then I'm in good company," he said. She watched him drink slowly, calm and unhurried. Time felt different with him. When they got up to leave, Alara felt sad to say goodbye. Cassian's hand brushed hers lightly but on purpose. "Next time?" he asked. Alara smiled. "Maybe." Walking away, she realized she was smiling again. Wide, free, almost silly. She didn't know what this feeling was, but for the first time in years, she didn't feel the need to protect herself from happiness. Coffee became a routine, then a special ritual. Saturday mornings at the cafe, walks through the city park. Sometimes they started a movie but never finished it because they were too busy talking. Cassian's presence was steady, like a calm river guiding her out of stormy waters. He showed her secret little corners of the city, a tiny record store, a park bench with a perfect sunset view, a bakery with the most delicious croissants. In return, Alara shared her life with him. She took him to the weekend market and the volunteer art center, where she helped children paint beautiful pictures from the ruins of her past sadness. They laughed a lot. She noticed that Cassian always thought before speaking, as if choosing words carefully so they wouldn't hurt anyone. She also noticed that his eyes softened whenever she smiled. The memory of Soren, the person who once hurt her, began to fade. She stopped looking at her phone for messages that weren't there. Cassian didn't try to fix her pain. He just made space for it. That quiet respect started to heal her. One evening, walking by the river, Alara realized something had changed. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was living, and it scared her how wonderful it felt. But just when she started to feel safe, the past returned. It was late. Alara had just closed her laptop when her phone buzzed. An unknown number. "We need to talk." Her stomach sank. 3 words. That same voice that had hurt her before was back. Soren. For a moment, her hands froze, her heart pounded, her throat went dry. Then she breathed slowly and pressed block. No hesitation, no second chance. Even after the number disappeared, the heavy feeling stayed. Why now? What did he want? Memories she had buried started to come back. The words, the rejection, the shame. That night, Cassian called. His voice was calm and soft. "You sound tense." Alara smiled faintly. "Rough day, but I'm okay." He didn't ask more. He never pushed. After the call, she sat quietly. The city outside hummed like a heartbeat. Maybe ghosts never die, she thought. Maybe they wait until you feel safe before coming back. But now, she wasn't the same person who begged for love. This time, she was ready to close the door for good. Later, her friend Liana was scrolling her phone at lunch. "Alara," she said suddenly, "isn't this the guy you've been seeing?" Alara looked over. On the screen was a magazine cover. Cassian Hale, billionaire and owner of Hale Group. Her fork slipped from her hand. That was him. Photos showed him at award ceremonies, charity events, and Forbes magazine features. His calm smile, the same one she'd seen over coffee, was now surrounded by headlines and power. Her heart stumbled. He wasn't just rich, he was untouchable. That night, when they met for dinner, Alara couldn't keep it inside anymore. "You're Cassian Hale." "The Cassian Hale?" she asked, her voice shaking a little. He sighed and put his glass down. "I was hoping you'd meet me before knowing that." "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked. "Because the moment people know, they stop seeing me as a person," he said quietly. His voice was calm but full of feeling. Alara tried to smile. "Congratulations, you did it well," she said, but Cassian's face darkened. "That's not what I wanted," he said. The silence between them spoke louder than words. They lived in different worlds, and now they both knew it. That night, Alara lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. The city outside made soft noises, but her mind wouldn't rest. Every memory played in her head like a movie. Coffee mornings, laughter, little glances that had felt special. Had it all been a game? Did he really like her? Or did he only like the idea of her? She didn't know who he really was. Her thoughts twisted and hurt. The same worry she had worked so hard to forget came back. Did he see her as a person? Or just as the story he wanted to believe? The girl who stood up to her ex, the woman who made him feel human. Maybe that was all she was to him. She turned on her side and put a hand on her chest. The ache felt familiar. She remembered Soren's voice whispering, "Too ordinary." Alara shut her eyes tight. "Not again," she whispered. But doubt is a quiet ghost. It stays in your heart, even when you try to forget. She wanted to believe Cassian's kindness was real. She wanted to believe he really saw her. But she also knew that believing too much could hurt. Tonight, love felt like standing on the edge of a tall building. She wanted to jump, but she was scared to fall. The next evening, the air between them was heavy. Alara couldn't look at him. Cassian leaned back in his chair and studied her carefully. "You're quiet," he said. I don't know where I stand with you," she admitted. "You kept this whole world hidden. I don't even know if I belong in it," he said slowly. "Alara, I didn't hide it to trick you," he said. "I hid it because when people know, they stop seeing me. They only see the money, the power, the chance to get something from me. They don't see me." Her lips pressed together. "And what do you see when you look at me?" she asked. Cassian's voice softened but was serious. "I'm with you because of you, not because you don't know who I am, not because I need saving. You're the first person who looked at me and didn't want anything." Alara held his eyes. Something inside her opened a little. Her doubts started to fade. Cassian reached across the table, his hands steady. "You don't have to believe me yet. Just stay long enough to find out," he said. For a long moment, Alara said nothing. Then she nodded, the smallest sign of trust, the tiniest surrender to something real. 2 weeks later, Alara worked late at the office. The parking garage was quiet as she walked to her car. Her heels clicked on the concrete until she saw him, Soren. He stepped forward, his voice low but urgent. "Alara, please. I just need to talk." Her heart beat faster. "There's nothing left to say," she said. He moved closer. "I made a mistake. Leaving you was the worst thing I ever did." She took a step back. "You made that very clear before." "Please," he begged. "I see you with him. Hale, he's not who you think he is." Alara froze. "You've been watching me? You think a man like that loves you? You're a project, Alara," he said. The words felt like poison, but this time she didn't fall apart. Her voice was strong. "You don't get to decide who I am anymore." Soren's face darkened. "I'll ruin you." "No," she said quietly. "You already tried that." Her words hung in the air. Soren looked shocked. The woman standing before him wasn't the same one he had once dismissed. "You didn't lose me, Soren," she said firmly. "You threw me away." "I was wrong," he said. "Yeah," Alara said, "but not about me. About what love really is." He took a step closer. "We can start over," he said. "No," she shook her head. "You want to fix your guilt, not rebuild love." Soren looked smaller for the first time. "You think Hale's better than me?" Alara exhaled. "I don't compare men anymore. I choose peace." The silence wasn't empty. It was final. Soren's shoulders slumped. "So that's it?" he asked. "That's it," she said softly. As he turned to leave, Alara felt tears sting her eyes. Not pain, but relief. The past that had haunted her for years finally let go. For the first time, she didn't feel broken. She felt free. But Soren didn't leave quietly. He turned back. "You think he loves you? You think a billionaire would want someone like you?" Before Alara could answer, another voice cut through. "No, leave," Cassian said. His voice was calm, but strong. He walked toward them, steady, confident, filling the space. Soren's arrogance faltered immediately. "This isn't your business," Soren snapped. Cassian didn't move his eyes from Soren. "If it concerns her, it concerns me," he said. "You should leave before security makes you." Soren hesitated, pride fighting with fear, but one look at Cassian's face ended it. He turned and muttered curses as he walked away. Alara stood still, her heart pounding. Cassian looked at her gently. "Are you okay?" She nodded, her breath shaky. "I was handling it." "I know," he said softly. "I just wanted him to know you're not alone." For a moment, neither spoke. Only the quiet feeling of safety stayed between them. Alara's hands shook, but it wasn't fear. It was release. Cassian's eyes searched hers. "You sure you're okay?" She nodded. "I'm fine." Then, with a small, almost daring smile, she added, "For real this time." He smiled back, pride in his calm eyes. "You were incredible. You didn't let him rewrite your story." Alara looked down and exhaled. For years, I thought being strong meant pretending nothing hurt, but tonight I realized it just means not letting pain decide who I am. Cassian reached for her hand, not to rescue her, but to reassure her. You're stronger than anyone I've ever met. Alara squeezed his fingers lightly. Maybe. Or maybe I just finally stopped being scared. For the first time since her past came back, she felt steady, fully herself. The woman Soren once called ordinary now stood strong, shining with her own quiet power. When Cassian pulled her close, it wasn't about protection, it was about recognition. Two people, equal and unguarded, finally breathing in the same peace. 6 months after the night that started everything, Alara stood again under the golden lights of the Skyline Lounge. The city sparkled below them, just like when she first asked for help. Only this time her chest was calm. Cassian took her hand, his thumb making gentle circles on her skin. 6 months ago, he began, voice steady, you asked me to pretend. You wanted me to hold your waist so a man from your past would think you moved on. Alara smiled softly, tears forming. He exhaled. That night, I didn't know pretending would become the most real thing in my life. I didn't know it would bring me here, wanting to hold you, not for show, but for life. He opened a small ring box. The simple ring gleamed in the light. Alara Vesper, he said quietly. Stay. This time for real. Her breath caught, her heart full. The city lights shone like gold, twinkling all around. Alara thought about the girl she used to be, the one who felt small and scared, the one who once asked a stranger for help. But now she realized she had found her own strength. She didn't need anyone to rescue her. When she looked at Cassian, all she felt was love. For a moment, it felt like time stopped. The rooftop glowed with the city lights, and the warm air held memories of everything they had been through. Alara's hands shook as she covered her mouth. Tears ran down her face, but these weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of relief. Tears that said, I am free now. Cassian stayed quiet, just watching her. His patience was its own kind of promise. Finally, Alara laughed softly through her tears. You have everything, she whispered. Money, power, a big name, but you still looked at me like I was enough. Cassian's eyes softened. You've always been enough, he seemed to say. Alara nodded, her voice shaking with emotion. Then yes, she said. Yes, because you see me. Cassian gently slid the ring onto her finger. His hands were unsteady, just like hers had been at the very beginning. He pulled her close. Below them, the city roared, full of life and endless possibilities. 6 months ago, Alara had asked Cassian to protect her, but tonight, she didn't ask for protection. She chose to be his partner. When he kissed her, it wasn't perfect like in movies. It was real, human, full of love that had been earned. And in that quiet moment, Alara knew something very important. She wasn't a story about being rescued. She was a story about finding herself again. A year later, life looked different, but it was beautiful. Alara's name hung on the door of her own office, Vesper Creative Strategies. She had built her company from the ground up, one client at a time. No shortcuts, no handouts. Cassian offered help, but she politely said no. He gave advice, and she listened. They worked together as equals, not as someone saving the other. At home, their mornings were simple and perfect. Coffee brewed, papers lay scattered, toast sometimes burned, and laughter filled the kitchen. The world might see Cassian as a billionaire, but in their kitchen, he was just Cassian. Some nights, Alara caught him watching her while she worked late. You still amaze me, he whispered. Why? She teased. I'm just doing my job, she said, smiling. Exactly, he replied. You never stopped being you. Their love wasn't loud or dramatic anymore. It was quiet, steady, and real. And every morning when Alara walked into her office, she smiled. The girl who once doubted herself now signed her own checks, wrote her own future, and finally believed she had earned every bit of it. One quiet afternoon, a message popped up on her computer. The subject line read, I'm sorry. It was from Soren. His words were long, full of apologies and explanations. Alara read every line without feeling anger or happiness. She only felt done. She typed back quickly, Soren, I hope you find peace. I already have. Take care. She hit send, no hesitation. The screen dimmed, and with it, the last shadow of him disappeared. That night, Cassian asked softly, Rough day? Alara smiled. No, just closing a chapter. He kissed her forehead, quiet and proud. Alara leaned into him and understood something important. Closure wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about proving anything. Closure was about being free. The girl who once cried silently had learned to end things with kindness and grace. 10 years later, their home was full of laughter. 2 children climbed onto Alara's lap, begging for a story. Tell us how you met, Dad, their daughter said. Alara and Cassian shared a knowing smile. It started with 4 words, Alara began. Please hold my waist. The kids giggled. That's weird. It was? Tuh, Cassian said with a grin. But sometimes weird things change your life. After the children went to bed, Alara stood by the window, looking at the city skyline that had seen the beginning of their story. Cassian wrapped his arms around her waist, the same way he had once held her to keep her safe. Funny how everything started with fear, he whispered, and ended with love, she added, smiling. She turned to him, eyes sparkling. If anyone ever told you that you're not enough, remember this. Your worth was never up for debate. The city lights flickered, reflecting in their window like little stars. Sometimes love doesn't come with flowers or magic, Alara whispered. Sometimes it comes with a quiet ask and a stranger's kindness. And if you're listening, believe this. You are enough. You have always been enough. Stay with love. Stay with hope.